Today, the modern European city of Cologne has recovered. The spires of the cathedral, which miraculously survived the bombardment, tower above the skyline in the heart of the city. Post-war Cologne underwent a major reconstruction program. Wolfram Haagspiel works as a city planner. He is responsible for the city's 19th and 20th century architecture.
Es wird viele verwundern, dass der Wiederaufbau in Köln relativ schnell vonstatten gegangen ist.
Many people will be surprised that after the war, the reconstruction of Cologne was completed relatively quickly. The reason for that is that before 1945, with the advent of the Hitler era, the town planning had already been very extensive. It had already been planned to knock down a large part of the city, virtually 25% of it. In fact, quite a lot of buildings had already been knocked down in Cologne, and large areas had been cleared, ready for redevelopment. There was a planning team, the so-called Planning Society. And when war broke out, the society continued the redevelopment program, the Gau Forum. When the city was destroyed, it was the Planning Society that planned the reconstruction of Cologne. Many things you find in the reconstruction plans and in the finally reconstructed Cologne are things which had already been planned in the Third Reich.
Sind Dinge, die schon im Dritten Reich vorgedacht waren.
Those plans included the massive road system. A new railway station and rail network was also planned during the Hitler period. The Severensbrücke was built in the 1950s, again from much earlier plans. But a great many of the city's buildings have been restored to their original historic form. Cologne was a very important target. Being a highly industrial city with light and heavy engineering works, there were many factories producing guns, tanks and vehicles which were being used on the Russian front. The city also had an important railway network and center, with many junctions being used for the transportation of troops and weapons. There were large marshalling yards and warehousing. In the areas of Ehrenfeld, Kalk, and Mulheim, east of the river, there were large chemical plants. In fact, Cologne was one of the most important German cities, with a population of approximately 800,000 people. It was important not only for its factories and military installations, but also because it was the center of trade and political activity. Cologne was also one of the most heavily defended of all German cities. When the crews in the briefing rooms were given details of the intended target, there was apprehension. The briefing officer's queue rested on a rectangular gap in the city center, not far from the cross which marks the famous Cologne Cathedral. This was the central aiming point, the crews were told, the Neumarkt. The Neumarkt was right in the middle of the shopping and residential area of the old city. They were not just going to bomb the big Ford motor factory and the chief war factories, but they were also going to attack right in the heart of the city. The few airmen that asked why did not like the answer. The intention was to bomb not just industry, but also civilians. The age of terror bombing was about to begin, and the citizens of Cologne were about to experience a scene from hell.